I have a reason for it, for a dog saved me from an embarrassing position once, and that has made me grateful to these animals. And if by study I could learn to tell some of the kinds from the others, I should be greatly pleased. I only know one kind apart, yet, and that is the kind that saved me that time. I always know that kind when I meet it, and if it is hungry or lost, I take care of it. The matter happened in this way. It was years and years ago. I had received a note from Mr. Augustin Daly of the Fifth Avenue Theater asking me to call the next time I should be in New York. I was writing plays in those days, and he was admiring them and trying to get me a chance to get them played in Siberia. I took the first train, the early one, the one that leaves Hartford at 8:29 in the morning. At New Haven I bought a paper, and found it filled with glaring display lines about a bench show there. I had often heard of bench shows, but had never felt any interest in them, because I supposed they were lectures that were not well attended. It turned out now that it was not that, but a dog show. There was a double-leaded column about the king feature of this one, which was called a St. Bernard, and was worth $10,000, and was known to be the largest and finest of his species in the world. I read all this with interest, because out of my schoolboy readings I dimly remembered how the priests and pilgrims of St. Bernard used to go out in the storms and dig these dogs out of the snowdrifts when lost and exhausted, and give them brandy and save their lives, and drag them to the monastery and restore them with gruel. Also, there was a picture of this prize dog in the paper, a noble great creature with a benignant countenance, standing by a table. He was placed in that way so that one could get a right idea of his great dimensions. You could see that he was just a shade higher than the table, indeed, a huge fellow for a dog. Then there was a description which went into the details. It gave his enormous weight, 150½ pounds, and his length 4 feet 2 inches from stem to sternpost, and his height 3 feet 1 inch to the top of his back. The pictures and the figures so impressed me that I could see the beautiful colossus before me, and I kept on thinking about him for the next 2 hours. Then I reached New York, and he dropped out of my mind. In the swirl and tumult of the hotel lobby I ran across Mr. Daly's comedian, the late James Lewis, of beloved memory, and I casually mentioned that I was going to call upon Mr. Daly in the evening at 8. He looked surprised, and said he reckoned not. For answer I handed him Mr. Daly's note. Its substance was, "Come to my private den over the theater, where we cannot be interrupted, and come by the back way, not the front. Number 642 Sixth Avenue is a cigar shop. Pass through it, and you are in a paved court, with high buildings all around. Enter the second door on the left, and come upstairs." "Is this all?" "Yes," I said. "Well, you'll never get in." "Why?" "Because you won't. Or if you do, you can draw on me for $100, for you will be the first man that has accomplished it in 25 years. I can't think what Mr. Daly can have been absorbed in. He has forgotten a most important detail, and he will feel humiliated in the morning when he finds that you tried to get in and couldn't." "Why? What is the trouble?" "I'll tell you. You see—" At that point we were swept apart by the crowd. Somebody detained me with a moment's talk, and we did not get together again. But it did not matter. I believed he was joking anyway. At 8 in the evening I passed through the cigar shop and into the court, and knocked at the second door. "Come in." I entered. It was a small room, carpetless, dusty, with a naked deal table, and 2 cheap wooden chairs for furniture. A giant Irishman was standing there, with shirt-collar and vest unbuttoned, and no coat on. I put my hat on the table, and was about to say something, when the Irishman took the innings himself, and not with marked courtesy of tone. "Well, sir, what will you have?" I was a little disconcerted, and my easy confidence suffered a shrinkage. The man stood as motionless as Gibraltar, and kept his unblinking eye upon me. It was very embarrassing, very humiliating. I stammered at a false start or two. Then, "I have just run down from—" "Have you, please? You'll not smoke here, you understand." I laid my cigar on the window ledge, chased my flighty thoughts a moment, then said in a placating manner, I have come to see Mr. Daly." "I have ye?" "Yes."
"Well, you'll not see him."
"But he asked me to come." "Oh, he did he?" "Yes, he sent me this note, and—" "Let me see it." For a moment I fancied there would be a change in the atmosphere now, but this idea was premature. The big man was examining the note searchingly under the gas jet. A glance showed me that he had it upside down, disheartening evidence that he could not read. "Is it his own handwrite?" "Yes, he wrote it himself." "He did he?" "Yes." "Hm. Well, then, why'd he write it like that?" "How do you mean?" "I mane, why wouldn't he put his name to it?" "His name is to it. That's not it. You are looking at my name." I thought that was a home shot, but he did not betray that he had been hit. He said: "It's not an easy one to spell. How do you pronounce it?" "Mark Twain." "Hm. Hm. Mike Train. Hm. I don't remember it. What is it you want to see him about?" "It isn't I that want to see him. He wants to see me." "Oh, he does he?" "Yes." "What does he want to see you about?" "I don't know." "You don't know? And you confess it, becod. Well, I can tell you one thing. You'll not see him. Are you in the business?" "What business?" "The show business." A fatal question. I recognized that I was defeated. If I answered no, he would cut the matter short and wave me to the door without the grace of a word. I saw it in his uncompromising eye. If I said I was a lecturer, he would despise me, and dismiss me with opprobrious words. If I said I was a dramatist, he would throw me out of the window. I saw that my case was hopeless, so I chose the course which seemed least humiliating. I would pocket my shame and glide out without answering. The silence was growing lengthy. "I'll ask ye again. Are ye in the show business yourself?" "Yes." I said it with splendid confidence, for in that moment the very twin of that grand New Haven dog loafed into the room, and I saw that Irishman's eye light eloquently with pride and affection. "Ye are? And what is it?" "I've got a bench show in New Haven." The weather did change then. "You don't say, sir! And that's your show, sir! Oh, it's a grand show, it's a wonderful show, sir, and a proud man I am to see your honor this day. And ye'll be an expert, sir, and ye'll know all about dogs, more than ever they know theirselves, I'll take me oath to it." I said with modesty, "I believe I have some reputation that way. In fact, my business requires it." "Ye have some reputation, your honor. Bedad, I believe you. There's not a gintleman in the world that can lay over you in the judgment of a dog, sir. Now I'll venture that your honor'll know that dog's dimensions there better than he knows them his own self, and just by the casting of your educated eye upon him." "Would you mind giving me a guess, if you'll be so good?" I knew that upon my answer would depend my fate. If I made this dog bigger than the prize dog, it would be bad diplomacy and suspicious. If I fell too far short of the prize dog, that would be equally damaging. The dog was standing by the table, and I believed I knew the difference between him and the one whose picture I had seen in the newspaper, to a shade. I spoke promptly up and said: "It's no trouble to guess this noble creature's figures. Height, 3 feet. Length, 4 feet and 3/4 of an inch. Weight, 148 1/4." The man snatched his hat from its peg and danced on it with joy, shouting: "Ye've hardly missed it the hair's breadth! Hardly the shade of a shade, your honor! Oh, it's the miraculous eye ye've got for the judgment of a dog." And still pouring out his admiration of my capacities, he snatched off his vest and scoured off one of the wooden chairs with it, and scrubbed it and polished it, and said: "There, sit down, your honor. I'm ashamed of myself that I forgot you were standing all this time. And do put on your hat. Ye mustn't take cold, it's a draughty place. And here is your cigar, sir, getting cold. I'll give ye a light. There, the place is all yours, sir, and if you'll just put your feet on the table and make yourself at home, I'll stir around and get a candle and light ye up the old crazy stairs, and see that ye don't come to any harm, for be this time Mr. Daly'll be that impatient to see your honor that he'll be taking the roof off." He conducted me cautiously and tenderly up the stairs, lighting the way and protecting me with friendly warnings, then pushed the door open and bowed me in and went his way, mumbling hearty things about my wonderful eye for points of a dog. Mr. Daly was writing, and had his back to me. He glanced over his shoulder presently, then jumped up and said,